I want to tell everybody happy National Jeep 4x4 Day, or whatever it is. 4x4 Jeep Day, whatever. Bob's thinking, woohoo!
Yeah, whoopee. Made up bullshit.
Yeah, there's a day for everything. Do you know the other day, Sunday in church, Pastor said, it was Palm Sunday, but Pastor said, do you know that there's a day for everything? And it was National Peanut Butter Jelly Sandwich Day on Sunday, which I went home and had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
So marketing works.
Yeah, I was hungry for that. So, yeah, I actually haven't had one in a long time, so it was pretty good. So today, hello Vince. Today we were going to do a little talking about TNT suspension. And I happen to have some arms hanging there. It just came out of powder coating yesterday, one of them days. Can anybody tell me which arms these are? And don't just say long arms. I'm going to pull that one out of there. What vehicle they go on? What you think they might be for? Control arms, David said. Yeah, David, control arms. So some things I want to point out about TNT control arms. These are rear lower TJ arms. And of course there's a female end and a male end, and this end gets flex joints, and so does this one. And we'll go over our flex joints here in a little bit. These suckers are heavy. If you wanted to compare them to somebody else's arms, how much do you think that weighs, Bob? Anybody have a guess on how much that arm weighs? I'll have to take it off and put it over by the table, because there's other stuff on the table. I don't know. I would say that arm weighs 10 pounds. What do you think? Not 10. Maybe? Are those mine? Says Vince Lucas. Huh?
They don't fail.
They don't fail. Put one on the scale once. I wonder what it weighs. Vince, they might be part of yours. There's a few orders for them.
16.
Ooh, almost 16 pounds just for that one arm. Whew. That's because they're beefy. And anybody know what these are? You should all know what these are. Everybody that's on here should know what these are. There's two different ones sitting here, even though they look the same. They're obviously front control arms. Are Y-link arms, because as you see here, it becomes a Y when the upper gets mounted to it. And one set is an XJ set and one set is a TJ set. How do you know the difference, Bob?
They're longer.
Which one's longer?
The TJ.
Yep. TJ's longer. That's how we remember. But these are hopefully getting boxed up this afternoon. Vince, there's a couple orders that might be ahead of you, but it'll be coming soon, because Jake's on that stuff. So, what does somebody have for questions about our long arms? Or what great words of advice does Bob have about our long arms? You want to switch it around? Right there. Ooh.
Rotisserie welded.
Yeah.
TIG welded.
Oh. What size tube?
2-inch, 375.
2-inch, 375. Them are heavy.
Yeah, they don't fail.
This one is what?
1 3/4, 250.
How much do you think one of those weighs?
I don't know.
It's a little lighter, but I'm gonna just check and see. Our doorbell's fixed. Yeah. 13 pounds. 3 pounds lighter than the rear lowers. On the XJ. The TJ is probably pretty close to the same. Oh yeah, it's about the same, I bet, because it's that much longer. Every inch weighs a bunch more. What else you got to say? These have been around forever. These XJ Y-Link arms were the first Y-Link arms you ever developed.
2005.
2005. Yep. First long arm suspension kit TNT came out with. So we're going to be 20 years pretty soon on that. Yeah,
Time to sell it and retire.
Oh, yeah?
David wants to know what kind of joints go in them.
What kind of joints? Good question, David. We were going to show everybody that. We got a whole selection of them. Here, we'll get you this. I'll show you all the goods that go inside one of them bad boys.
Wrong parts.
Okay. So, just might as well show you a little bit. Gotta really, I mean, how thick do you think that is?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Anodized ring goes in first. Then you have this nice race, which we would grease.
Yes,
I'm
David.
not doing that all together. The boys will do this. Then the ball will go in. Then this gets greased. Put it on there. Pushed in. Locked in with this Summit machine. Beautifully machined, what do we call this? Retaining ring.
Spanner nut.
Spanner nut, whatever. Goes right into the threads. Gets tightened and torqued down to 30 foot-pounds, each one of them. And then once it's in there, the greaser and the set screw get put in. So the set screw obviously holds it from letting it back out. On occasion, depending on what you do with your Jeep, you have to sometimes take them apart, re-grease them, put them all back together, torque them again. These are completely rebuildable. We've known of kits that have been out there.
I have them on my Jeep that are 2009.
Yeah.
Take
Decades.
them apart once a year, clean them, re-grease them, put them back together,
Right.
and drive it.
If you're a guy that goes in the mud and water and everything every single weekend,
You might have to do it
should
sooner.
Do it a whole lot more often. But the beauty of it is, if over time, which it does take a long time, unless you don't maintain, any of this
Don't
stuff.
believe all the baloney you read on the internet about maintenance-free joints.
There's no such thing.
That's the newest buzzword around the industry. They're junk. They don't last.
These will last.
They are not
forever.
maintenance-free. You
got
have
guys
to do maintenance.
who have our XJ kits that have been out there for almost 20 years. And if they were well maintained, they're still out there. There's top quality US made joints. By
I want to know
Summit
how
Machine.
big your stud is.
Really? I'm not sure, Bob. Tell me the dimensions.
Inch and 3/8, 12. It's the largest threaded assembly in the marketplace.
Go big or go home. That's what Bob says.
It's been the biggest, most robust for almost 20 years.
These are made in Wyoming, just to the north of us. We get those out of Casper, Wyoming. And then it all gets put together here in our humble facility. Hand packaged with love.
Those bushings, Vince,
These.
yeah. I mean, we've had Jeeps in the shop with over 300,000 miles on them and still have joints in them. Now that's a stock Jeep. We're just doing maintenance or repairs. In a wheeling Jeep, you know, something you're going full articulation, you know, full droop to full stuff, you know, rock crawling. Couple years.
They're
I don't know.
OEM.
I've had them in the front of my
Factory
JK
replacement.
forever, and it's been wheeled pretty hard over the years. It's kind of on retirement mode these days because I got a Gladiator, but Nonetheless, we still have a 4-door JK and I can show you someday the scratches and dents and bangs and oopses. It's been wheeled. I don't ever remember changing them, but it's something you got to look at when you're doing your annual inspection. Yeah, Cody's got 4 years on his, and his Jeep goes to the trail probably a little more than it goes to the mall, but you know, it gets wheeled.
Of course, all these arms, you guys have seen it, they're mounted to, well, the rear ones have their own special side frame mounts, and the front one has a cross member.
Stretch end somewhere.
Stretch end? Yeah, I think. They will right this second.
So, since we do our control arms, all control arms, under this method, most everything else in the industry, this is the female threaded. They usually have about that much thread in them, which doesn't even meet machinist handbook standards for thread engagement, but whatever. We've even seen production arms that have a nut welded here, just a nut. Like, go to the hardware store, get a big ass nut and weld it to the tube, and that's your thread. Nice. These males have 4 or 4 1/8, I don't remember anymore. We'll just say 4 inches of thread exposed. There's a 1-inch machine shank that is a press fit into the tube, and then they're rotisserie welded to secure them. They don't fail. Then, since we're doing our thread assembly this way, your standard arm goes, you gotta leave room for a jam nut, so something like that. So you've got a solid 1.5 inches. You can push 2 inches of length adjustment and still maintain your minimum thread engagement, which is 1.5 times the diameter. So 1 3/8 times 1.5, shouldn't do math in public. About 2 inches, without breaking out a calculator. So you've got a fairly substantial amount of adjustment. I have been known to cheat them another couple of threads because that's what I needed, and they run just fine. If you run out of that, take this. Frickin' spam. Then you can get a stretch end. So that adds another about 2 1/4 inches to the overall length, which then by the time you adjust, screw it all the way out to the end of the thread, you can gain another 3 inches of wheelbase real easily over what you already had with this end. So if this was fully collapsed and this was maximum thread, or minimum thread engagement, sorry, you'd have a 4-inch overall length change. Yeah. So if you set yours up, you know, a TJ like Tanner's, to start with, he went with the standard ends because, you know, he wasn't educated yet to do all the stretching and all that cool stuff, and then saw the need for more wheelbase. All he had to change was that end. And some mounting brackets and some shock mounts and some
an awful lot, I think.
bunch of other stuff. But the point is, you didn't have to repurchase that expensive arm. You can just purchase that end and gain a bunch. And yeah, David, if you built your TJ, you know, them are XJ. If you built your TJ at standard-ish dimensions, and then decided that you wanted to do our steering box rotation and relocation, now you can move the front end. You buy a set of the stretch ends, screw them onto your pre-existing Y-link arms and push the front end forward. It sounds simple, but it's a little more complicated than that. You got to move track bar mount on the chassis and blah 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 blah, because
You can't just push it forward.
nothing's free. So if you want it, you can have it, but you got to work for it.
I
But
think,
we
David,
have all the
those arms
pieces.
are yours too.
Yeah, he was asking if those extra arms were his.
We just have to. Dustin's going to powder coat this afternoon. He has 2 little tabs that's all we're waiting on. And David, your whole order's ready then. So right after lunch, he's going to turn on the oven and get those powdered for you.
So, we've put a lot of thought and effort and a lot of trial and error and trail use. We typically do not armchair quarterback design. Can't get away from them dumb lights. Let's go this way.
Okay.
There we go. They keep shining. Well, that's what lights do, is they shine. But the cameras pick them up stupid.
I can shut this one off. And it's not in your face.
There it is.
There
That's
you go.
better.
That's better.
Anyway, a lot of trail use and testing in all of our stuff over the years. Now we tend to now, because we have the experience, be able to push things a little faster through here to making parts and putting them on Jeeps. And like the JL stretch, Jason and I cycled that yesterday, and it's right there. It's not for the faint of heart. We talked about that last week. It's not an easy install, but
I don't think any of them are.
it's not complicated.
Our XJ is
long as
probably
you
the
can
easiest one to do.
Read and comprehend and perform and weld. I will give you a piece of advice. I don't know if you've read this on any of the forums or not. The JL and newer Jeep frames are made out of some crazy alloy because they're paper thin. So you need to pay attention when you're welding on them. They are difficult to weld. Not hard, but you got to pay attention. Probably something else that nobody ever mentions or talks about when you're doing a big suspension change where you're cutting brackets off and welding new stuff on. You're destroying all of the rust coating, whatever that is, that the factory had those frames dipped in by welding and cutting and grinding, both inside, obviously, or outside, obviously, because you're cutting brackets off, so your paint is peeling and grinding it off and yada, 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 but all that heat is also bubbling the interior coating off the frame. So you need to plan appropriately and deal with that. We've rigged up over the years a little nozzle dealio on a piece of hose, and you feed the hose through and it makes a mess. You're covered in it, but you spray and pull that hose back to you.
Or you're coming out of TNT, do your
Right.
rust proofing and
Or
undercoating.
you bring it here, and now we have really cool means of doing things like that. We just did this H2 this morning.
That thing is huge.
Yeah, it's a big vehicle.
Huge.
It's fully rust proofed and undercoated now, and we have all of those. We don't have to rig stuff up on a piece of vacuum hose and hope you can pull it. We actually have all the right tools. So if you can't bring it here, you should probably find somebody in your local neighborhood that can do any of that. And yeah, I'm assuming that's Tanner
Yeah.
posting as us. Yeah, before you weld anything, what's up, Frizz? It needs to be fully cycled. Bump stops built,
Yeah.
shock clearances checked, especially on these newer Jeeps, the JLs and the Gladiators. The shocks have a tendency, when the suspension droops, passenger side droop, driver side stuff on the front, the shock body will bind on the frame, and you just bought all them really cool high-dollar Nito shocks, yet you're going to wreck them the first time you take it out. So you need to check that, because they will bind it, especially when you go to the big shocks, the 2.5s. The body's that much bigger, and they bind on the frame when the passenger side drops out and the driver's side stuffs. We have some solutions to help cure that. Longer track bars. They're, again, not for the faint of heart, require cutting and welding, but we put a longer track bar in, and decreases that side-to-side movement because it's a larger radius that the track bar arc is working on. But it's all part of cycling. You have to check it. It really sucks for you guys at home working on your back on the floor. Been there, done that. That's how we started. If I have to go back doing that again, TNT no longer exists because I'm not laying on the floor. I have lifts. So if for some reason the whole economy goes to hell and we're all standing in a soup line, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Nobody's building Jeeps. But I won't go back to doing it on the floor. I'll find something else to do.
We'll build lawn art.
Yeah, well, I don't know what we'll do, but if I got to work on the floor, and it's doable, we've done it.
Bob, quit trying to tell everybody you work. You don't work.
Whatever.
You let your
I've been
guys work.
working all morning.
Yeah, whatever.
So, yeah, you got to suffer through it. Take your time. The trail will still be there. If you miss, oh my God, I got to go this weekend, and you rush it together, you're going to pay for it. Just skip the ride and get it put together right. And then you'll have something you can enjoy for a long time.
Just more for exploring.
Yeah, we don't.
What are you riding on?
We don't work that hard, but even our 4 exploring rigs get fully dialed
No,
and
he's
tested.
saying if the world goes to crap,
Oh.
we do more for exploring.
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
What are you going to put in your gas tank?
Right. We'll have to find some horses. We'll have to go do it old school.
Ooh, Billy Crystal style.
Yeah. What else has he said? Oh, yeah, steering has to be checked. Cool, it steers left and right. What does it do when it's fully articulated? You'll find it binds. So, especially on TJXJs, LJs, that variation of Jeep's 5-link suspension, sway bar mounting on them was not awesome. And when you start lifting them and modifying and getting away from the inverted inverted Y steering and start doing other crazy stuff, you'll find when passenger side droops, driver stuffs, and you turn full passenger, it won't turn full passenger. Start cutting, moving stuff. Is the name
Cotty
of
says
that
buy
game.
once, cry once.
Yep, exactly. So that's suspension
Anybody have any questions
stuff.
about suspension? Probably not.
Ram, yeah, somebody or Tanner must have said something about hydraulic ram.
Yeah.
Get that right. It's way easy to cycle when it's new and has no oil in it. Take the hoses off so the ram is vented. Take the little caps off of it because it won't move with the caps on. It'll airlock. Most people should understand that, but I'll point it out anyway. Pull the caps off and mount it. Turn it back left and right and think about all of where you're going to route hoses and where all the stuff is going to go, and things change in the real world when you're up on a big rock ledge or climbing over something and you rip a hose off, yeah, you're going to have a bad day. So, large steering links. Oh yeah, and that's the other problem too. A lot of this big ass steering, I've seen stuff come through the shop. It's made out of 2-inch diameter material. What the hell are you thinking? If you have to go to that large a material to get strength, you need to change the material. There's way better solutions. And the problem with that great big 2-inch diameter steering stuff, think about the diameter of the clamp that has to go around it to hold the ram. Now you're talking about something 3 3.5 inches in diameter? Where the hell does that fit? It doesn't. But it's armchair engineered, and it's big, and it's shiny, and it's anodized, and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Just check your clearances. That's the point of that.
Well, Bob, you've rambled on long enough
Yeah.
again. It's time to
I
say
get
goodbye.
off my soapbox and
Yeah.
go find something in the lunchbox.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. It's a snow day, so we'll see what we can find. You got food at home. Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Yeah. So, with that, let's all say goodbye. We'll see you next Tuesday. I don't remember what we're doing next Tuesday, but I'll get you all set up next Tuesday. And we will see you again then.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, oh, forgot about that. Yep, have a great Easter. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Enjoy the snow day.
Bye.
Bye.